The wind howled like a hungry wolf, tearing at the roofs and sending rain sideways against the window pane. I was in Manila, far from my American university, as a super typhoon made landfall. The lights died, plunging our dorm into darkness. Outside, chaos reigned, crashing waves, snapping branches, nature's fury unleashed. We were told to wait, to be patient. For me, waiting was agony. In the darkness, a small glow appeared in the hallway. Professor Reyes, my Filipino literature professor, walked door to door with a single candle. He checked on us, calm and composed, offering a quiet word and a gentle smile. "Sometimes," he said, "the world must be loud for us to learn how to be quiet." I didn't understand then. I was annoyed, wrapped in fear and frustration. I'd come for beaches and easy credits, not storms and cryptic wisdom. I saw his calm as weakness, his patience as passivity. But the real storm was inside me, a storm of pride and a closed heart. This is the story of how Professor Reyes became the calm that changed my life. I was David, a political science major from California, raised to believe success was loud and visible. Debate teams, Capitol Hill internships, a future I thought I deserved. The exchange program in the Philippines was just another box to check. Professor Alwin Reyes was my opposite, late 50s, kind eyes, 30 years teaching Filipino literature. He moved with gentleness, spoke with a lyrical Tagalog cadence, and carried a worn book of poetry. He didn't command a room, he invited you in. Our worlds collided in a humid classroom filled with old books and chalk dust. I sat in the back, arms crossed, judging. I was the American, supposed to impress. He was just a local professor. I was there to observe, not to learn, especially not from him. I thought I had nothing to learn from someone who'd never left his small world. But he had a wisdom born of humility and an open heart. Our first meeting was a collision of pride and humility, and I was on the wrong side. My disrespect began with a smirk. In class, I mocked Professor Reyes's accent, nudging my American friend and stifling laughter. It became a private joke among the exchange students. We mimicked his gentle speech, thinking it harmless fun. We were guests in his country, yet acted like main characters, dismissing his kindness. I challenged him in class not to learn, but to show off. I wanted to prove my Western education was superior. Doesn't post-colonial theory suggest a more subversive reading, I'd ask, seeking victory, not answers? He never got angry, just listened patiently, then responded with simple, profound clarity. "Sometimes we must first read the story with our heart," he'd say. He turned my intellectual games back on me, asking me to feel, not just think. That infuriated me more than anything. His patience was a mirror to my arrogance. Professor Reyes never raised his voice. In a world where I thought the loudest won, his classroom was an oasis of quiet strength. When we whispered and laughed, he simply paused, letting silence hold us accountable. One day, as he read a poem about a farmer's struggle, my phone buzzed loudly. He stopped, closed his eyes, then said, "Attention is the rarest and purest form of generosity. Let us be generous to this poem." He taught us about life, not just literature. Your grades measure your memory. Your character measures your heart. I am more interested in your heart. This idea was radical to me, raised on achievements and grades. His responses to my challenges were stories, Filipino proverbs, simple tales with deep wisdom. At first they seemed childish, but they held truths my theories couldn't touch. He wasn't just teaching us literature, he was teaching us how to be human. Wisdom, he showed, comes from simple truths, not big words. His silence and stories planted seeds in the hard soil of my pride. I wasn't ready to let them grow, but they were there. He led by example, not force. His quiet was more powerful than any shout. Manila itself began to change me. I rode jeepneys, packed shoulder to shoulder, witnessing unspoken courtesy and trust as money passed hand to hand. Strangers smiled, helped each other, and shared small acts of kindness. In the markets, vendors worked hard but laughed easily. Once, fumbling with coins, a vendor helped me and gave me an extra snack, saying, "Slowly, slowly." On Sundays, churches overflowed with people, faith and community palpable in the air. This culture was built on connection, not individual ambition. The kindness of strangers, the resilience of vendors, the shared faith, all chipped away at my arrogance. My mindset, once a strength, began to feel like a prison. Here people moved with a lighter step, rich in spirit, despite having less. The city showed me a different way to live, one based on connection, not competition. My shield of arrogance grew heavier. Manila was teaching me humility. The typhoon was the first crack in my armor. Professor Reyes, with his candle, became our anchor in the storm. While I focused on my discomfort, he organized food and water, comforted terrified students, and led by serving. Later, I joined a service trip to rebuild a storm-damaged village school. The work was hard, my hands blistered, and I complained constantly. But the villagers who'd lost so much worked with joy and gratitude, sharing their meager lunches and singing as they rebuilt. An old man guided my hand as I struggled with a hammer. Together, it is easier. In that gesture, I learned more than in a year of classes. Professor Reyes worked alongside us, not directing but serving. He was part of the community, sharing in struggle and hope. Seeing him there, I felt shame. My arrogance seemed hollow. The tide was turning. Humility was pulling me in. My sense of superiority was crumbling. I was learning the power of shared humanity. The storm outside had passed, but the real change was within. The shame from that village lingered. I saw my jokes about Professor Reyes's accent as cruel, my arguments as childish posturing. I started listening more than speaking. For the first time, I saw Professor Reyes as a man of immense dignity and patience. My transformation was slow, a painful erosion of pride. I read texts for meaning, not arguments, and heard the voices of the people in their stories. Sometimes we must first read the story with our heart, echoed in my mind. I was finally beginning to understand. Professor Reyes often quoted, "True strength is not the power to break others, but the power to bend without breaking." I'd seen the people of Manila bend, not break. My rigidity made me brittle. Their resilience was true strength. The final crack came during a discussion of the Filipino value of shared self. I realized I'd lived as an island, separate from others. Professor Reyes, in his patience, was the embodiment of. It took me a week to build up the courage to apologize. After class, I stayed behind, heart pounding. Professor Reyes looked up, smiling gently. "Yes, David?" I confessed everything. Mocking his accent, belittling him, treating his kindness as weakness. I spoke with shame and regret, making no excuses. When I finished, I stared at the floor, bracing for anger. Instead, he placed a gentle hand on my shoulder. It takes a strong man to admit he is wrong. A much stronger man than one who only pretends to be right. There is nothing to forgive. Your journey has just begun. He didn't offer absolution but something better, a new beginning. In that moment, he was no longer just my professor. He became my teacher. I left the classroom lighter, my pride finally set down. The apology was the start of real learning. Humility, I realized, was the foundation of wisdom. My journey had truly begun. Years have passed since Manila. I am no longer that arrogant 20-year-old. I didn't go into politics, I became a teacher. I work with international students, many arriving as I once did, full of confidence and bias. I quote Professor Reyes, "Attention is the purest form of generosity. True strength is the power to bend without breaking." I see his wisdom planting seeds in new minds. We exchanged a few letters, but life moved on. Yet he is with me every day, in my patience, my compassion, my stories. His legacy isn't in books, but in the lives he touched. He taught me education opens the heart, not just the mind. Humility is not weakness, it is wisdom's foundation. He changed my life by quietly showing a better way. His voice, once mocked, is now the echo guiding my own.